Good evening. Today's Friday, the 3rd of October, 2025, and you're watching Newplus right here on ZTN Prime, channel 294 on DSTV. My name is Wadzanai Sansole, and these are the stories you can look forward to tonight. President Emmerson Mnangagwa today capped 2,504 graduates at the National University of Science and Technology's 31st graduation ceremony in Bulawayo. Details on that story coming up here on Newsplus. Stay tuned for the latest details on the 3 children who were found dead in a car boot at a car park in Kwadzana earlier today. Also on Newsplus, Zimbabwe partners Japan in advanced medical care training. And in sport, Scotland go 4 points clear after Chicken Inn win. A closer look at the stories making the headlines. This is 31st graduation ceremony in Bulawayo. Now, the event was held under the theme Think Beyond Agenda.
This year saw NAST strengthen its footprint in animal genetics, GMO identification, and HIV viral load testing. Services that are already shaping Zimbabwe's institution continues to be a catalyst for national development through heritage-based research, innovation, and industry partnerships.
The Professor Phineas Mohoro Simakurane Technovation Center, which you commissioned just a year ago, is already incubating 5 transformative startups envisioned to be a hub for artificial intelligence and digital excellence, all of which
59% of this year's graduates were drawn from science, technology, engineering, and mathematics disciplines, with women making up nearly half of the graduating class. He says,
these self-imposed and societal limitations to a matter of continuous growth, of questioning norms.
He said the institution's shift to a heritage-based, innovation-driven framework is producing well-rounded graduates equipped to make an impact locally and internationally.
In response to your call for universities to lead in rural industrialization, NAST has embraced this challenge with conviction. We believe rural industrialization is a cornerstone of inclusive economic growth, creating jobs, reducing poverty, stimulating local economies, and bridging the rural
heritage to create solutions that directly support economic growth. Among the highlights of the ceremony was the conferment of honorary doctorates. Business leader Busisa Moyo was recognized for his outstanding contribution to Zimbabwe's industry, while engineer James Goddard was honored for his role in advancing civil and water engineering development. The event also saw Zimbabwe's ambassador to India, Stella Nkomo Chawasarira, graduating with a master's degree in business administration.
Grateful for the honor that the National University of Science and Technology has bestowed upon me, this honorary doctorate. It really spurs me on to serve the community. I'm really grateful to the National University of Science and Technology, the Vice Chancellor, Ubabu Professor Dodo, the Chairman of the Council, Professor Machele, and the entire staff.
Ngizwela lokuthi ngizakuthi kuyinto kakhulu bengacabangi empilweni yami ukuthi ngingahlangana nobuhlobo obungaka akumqedamana nyabonga.
Another chapter in NAST's journey to position itself at the heart of Zimbabwe's modernization and industrialization drive. For ZTN Prime, I'm Andile Chuma in Bulawayo.
Zimbabwe is exploring a new partnership with one of Japan's leading institutions in advanced medical services and training, and in a bid to revolutionize its healthcare system. The initiative was discussed during Vice President Kemba Mohadi's recent visit to Japan. His tour today was at Japan's Nakashima Cross and Osaka Metropolitan University Hospital, where Zimbabwe aims to send students for advanced medical training and also establish collaborative links between leading Japanese Japanese hospitals and Zimbabwe's major healthcare facilities. Now, the proposed partnership is anchored on enhancing local medical expertise through international exchange.
The university's local healthcare professionals in regenerative medicine and other specialized fields during a tour by Vice President Kembo Mohadi as he got an appreciation of some of Japan's health services operations.
Well, what we have seen here, they are more advanced than us, and it is always prudent that we go to where we don't have that kind of knowledge to get the knowledge.
The proposal includes sending Zimbabwean postgraduate training and hospital collaboration, establishing a training program between Japan's Metropolitan University Hospital and major local hospitals like Parinyatwa Ompilo Central, with Zimbabwean students gaining advanced medical training in Japan, ultimately enhancing local medical expertise and services. This was highlighted after a tour of the Nakashima Cross and Osaka Metropolitan University Hospital by Vice President Kembo Mohadi.
We can partner, or we can send our students here, either on scholarship or our own scholarships, presidential scholarship, to come for the students to come here. The first port of call would be to try to twin this hospital, this Metropolitan University Hospital, with one of our big hospitals, either Parinyatwa or Mpilo. So once we have twinned those two, then there will be an exchange of specialists.
The Nakashima Cross, a medical complex related to regenerative medicine, is unique in Japan in services as an international hub for future medicine, and Vice President Kembo Mohadi said that there will more consultations and discussions with experts from Zimbabwe who are already in Osaka to advise on more areas of collaboration.
And our experts, since we have got our experts with us here, are going to advise as to which areas they think there is a possibility that we can send people to study here.
With the partnership between Zimbabwe and Japan after a promising start, it marks a step toward modernizing Zimbabwe's healthcare system through knowledge exchanged, advanced training, and international collaboration. With further consultations planned, the initiative could pave the way for lasting improvements in medical education research and health service delivery. For ZTM Prime, I'm Hannah Mapisire.
Now, on a sad note, a somber atmosphere engulfed KwaZulu Extension's Herbert Chitepo area, where 3 children who were reported missing 3 days ago were found dead in the boot of a parked car. Now, the car park is adjacent to the houses where the children stayed, and these children went missing on October 1, prompting a thorough search which yielded no results. Now, the deceased children who are neighbors include siblings Aninyasha Mzanangu, aged 1, Anopaishe Muzangu, aged 4, and Raymond Mukuzei, aged 3. Some residents suspected that the children could have been kidnapped, while some believe they were playing and got trapped inside the car boot. And then residents claim they smelt an odor this afternoon, which led to the search. Our correspondent, Latwa Nyangu, gives us more.
It's a somber atmosphere here in KwaZulu Extension. As you can see behind me, it's a scene where the 3 missing children were found staged in a parked car spot. Residents remain with unanswered questions. Behind me, this is the car where the children were found dead. As you can see, the police are busy removing the bodies.
Saka vazoonekwa zuva ranhasi vari mboti tikabva tamhanyawo nekwatinogarawo tikauya tichionawo aiwa chitiko chatikapana chinotirwadza zvakanyanya. Tingodai Mwari vatibatsira muno muguta redu reKwaZulu Extension yeHerbert Chitepo kuti Mwari vachengetedze vana ende aita zvinhu izvi ngaabatwe. Kana zvaitwa nemunhu kana zvaitika zvega tiziva simwari ngavangoranga variwo vaita zvinhu zvivabatwe.
Zvinhu zvatirwadza izvo hama dzama ndiri kunyika tabatikana kozi vana takatombovatsvaga mabhuti mese mukavhurwa mukaonekwa musina vanhu but ndazoshamisa zvokuti nhasi vana vari muguti.
Takangonzwa kuti nyaya yakasechwa bhuti rikadini rikavhurwa but pari zvino vana vazowanikwa varimo, so yeah, we are suspecting foul play, although tiri kuti ma-experts akasvika panzvimbo ndo anotizivisa kuti chii chingave chakadini chakaitika. Saka hatinoda kuti tivamhanyire, tinoda kuti vaite basa ravo, asi takaisa ziso pavari patinoona kuti hapana kuitwa basa nemazvo, aiwa hatizonyarara senharaunda.
As we reflect on this heartbreaking issue in Kwazana Extension, we are reminded of being vigilant and proactive as communities. Residents now wait for the experts to ascertain what transpired.
That was an update on the 3 missing children that were found dead in Kwazana. Now, Newplus will be right back.
Good evening and welcome to the greatest show on earth.
This is a people's... Wherever you are, whatever your reason, it's on SuperSport all season long. Reconnect and stay connected to DSTV Compact and get the best football on us.
The Phoenix Podcast has always brought you the best of the best.
I missed on that blessing, but I also regained it in some way.
In seasons 1 and 2, we introduced you to the industry's brightest stars, the ones at the top of their game, the creme de la creme. But season 3 promises to be even more exciting. We're bringing you even more fascinating guests, including the renowned farmer, Patrick Matadi. Ken Sharp will be stepping out of the interviewer's chair and into the hot seat as he gets interviewed by a surprise guest host.
From the boss, we've been beaten, but we're not beaten yet. We can still rise.
Konapo Konapo, Ipapo Ipapo, ZTN Prime, DSTV Channel 294, the place to be. Catch exclusive interviews every weekday for candid, exciting and thought-provoking conversations with your host, Erika Ndoro.
We talk about arts, we can talk about sports, we can even talk about politics, and sometimes we venture into a nice guitaristic play.
Ita munona.
The one story where you can't get out of your head. Wakatarisa munhu so Erika like where you're sitting. Ndozongokona bata face so pasina munhu.
Wakasiya music yako yo afro chakuti ndo music manje no Zimbabwe.
And I'm sure they're still saying the same thing now.
Yeah, so Shona kana kuti Chindevere kana mumwe mutaure muno muZimbabwe ndiwe iwewe. Ndiwo rupawo rwako. Ndicho chidadiso chako.
Catch me, Erika Ndoro, right here on ZTN Prime every single Monday at 7 p.m. whilst we get exclusive.
This is Newplus and we're coming to you live from Harare. Now, still on our local stories, on Thursday, Zimbabwe marked the International Day for Universal Access to Information in Selous, Chegutu, highlighting a renewed push to widen.
At the Selous commemorations, ministers and development partners described access to information as central to Zimbabwe's Vision 2030, a foundation for a knowledge-based, upper-middle-income country. The government used the day to launch and relaunch digital initiatives aimed at quicker, nationwide digital.
Phase 2 has commenced, and we believe that in a space of 2 years, we should be in a position to be able to have transitioned from analog to digital.
Ministers said the government has merged its ICT and broadcasting master plans and relaunched Zim Digital Phase 2, a program designed to speed the country's full transition from analog to digital broadcasting and expand online access in the next 2 years.
Nasi unotauya pano takanangana nechirongwa chekuti tiparure yatinoti digital sender yakanangana nepano. Digital sender iyi ndo yamunoona iri paSelous iri apo iri padhuze nepapost office pamunoona.
iyoyo ndeyekuti vana vedu vari kuva ivo vachidzidziswa nyaya dzekudzidza kwechizvino-zvino.
This year's global theme, ensuring access to environmental information in the digital age, ties access to at local and national level. UNESCO and partners praised Zimbabwe's statutory guarantees for citizens' right to information.
Currently, just over 2/3 of United Nations member states have done so. And for this, we congratulate Zimbabwe for having statutory guarantees for access to information.
The Salou launch of the Digital Center and Zim Digital Phase 2 will be followed by outreach programs to boost digital literacy, reduce connectivity costs, and deliver environmental data in local languages, a practical move, they say, towards a more resilient and informed Zimbabwe.
For over 20 years, research in fertilizer development had been paused due to lack of funding. The African Union is undergoing serious reforms, which have seen the need to rehabilitate and integrate the African Center for Fertilizer Development in Zimbabwe. And stakeholders believe this move could lower fertilizer costs across the continent. Faith Nyaude reports.
Since its opening in 1992, Zimbabwe has hosted the Africa Center for Fertilizer Development. But after the transition from the Organization of African Unity to the African Union, the center has never been fully absorbed as a UN agency. The last time the institute turned out proper research was 1997. Now, ongoing reforms at the AU are set to give the agency a second chance.
All of these agencies, etc., will now be going through a certain screen to make sure that we know which ones can remain, which ones can proceed, because the issue of costs are also of very important importance in whatever we do.
Africa spends almost $100 billion every year importing food, largely because fertilizer use is too low. Most countries apply less than 50 kilograms per hectare, far below Europe's 120.
What we observe out there is that the amount of fertilizer that is still applied by the farmers is very, very low. Very few countries are reaching up to 50 kgs per hectare of fertilizer.
For Zimbabwe, the stakes are equally high. Fertilizer here accounts for up to 40% of production costs, making the country's food expensive and its farmers less competitive.
We have seen also that our cost of production is quite high in Zim, particularly driven by the cost of fertilizer. Fertilizer accounts for 32% to 40% of the cost of production.
Officials believe the rehabilitation under AU reforms will protect the Harare-based center, drive innovation, and make fertilizer more accessible for farmers across Africa.
We will be happy if the streamlining that is going to happen and the considerations that are going to happen will continue to emphasize on the Africa Center for Fertilizer Development being an African Union agent.
Currently, the center serves as a research center for testing out every kind of seed except fertilizer. The reason behind this, the lack of funding into the institution's research.
It was funding, basically funding.
The AU Commissioner's two-day visit to the capital will help in kick-starting the necessary discussions around what needs to be done and how it should be done. From Harare to the rest of Africa, leaders say fertilizer is central to food security. The hope is that AU reforms will not only revive the center, but also help Africa become food self-sufficient. Faith Nyaude reporting for ZTN Prime.
In other news, Johannes V of Africa International Church, led by founder Archbishop Dr. Anbai Makururu, recently organized a march in Bulawayo province to raise awareness about the dangers of drug and substance abuse. The event was aimed at educating the public, particularly the youth, about the devastating effects of substance abuse on individuals, on families, and the nation's economic development.
Substance abuse has been a growing concern in Zimbabwe, affecting individuals, families, and communities. In an effort to raise awareness and promote action, Johannes V of Africa International Church, led by Archbishop Dr. Andy Makururu, marched to take a stand against substance abuse.
nhau yedrug and substance abuse iri kunetsa mukati menyika yakuda mwari yakuda mweya mutsvene panyama chaipo chaipo nepfungwa dzedu isusu vanhu vatema hatichazvikwanisi nokuti ienemy hombe yatakaisirwa munyika yedu yeZimbabwe kuti tikwanise kutadza kuziva zvokuita titadze kuvaka nyika yedu.
The march also highlighted the importance of abstaining from substance abuse and joining existing efforts to combat the issue.
Taita march and tiri kutsigira muono wamai nemuono wababa venyika His Excellency President Baba Mnangagwa vari kuparidza vari kudzidzisa vana veZimbabwe kuti nyika inovakwa nevene vayo nyika igonamatirwazve nevene vayo saka ndopa chikamu chatiri ndaona kuti Bulawayo kunoko zvatine masangano akati wandei regai ndiite chimiro ichi.
The march in Bulawayo is a testament to the growing awareness and efforts to combat substance abuse in Zimbabwe. By working together, communities, organizations and the government can create a supportive environment for those struggling with addiction and work towards a brighter future for the country's youth. ZTN Prime, I'm Hannah Mapisire.
Right, we now take a look at our court updates. Former Agriculture Deputy Minister Douglas Karoro, who was accused of siphoning agricultural inputs from the Grain Marketing Board on the guise of wanting to distribute them to the needy in Mbire district, has been acquitted. The former legislator, together with GMB Assistant Manager Lovejoy Ngowe, were both found not guilty on a charge of fraud by Regional Magistrate Taurai Manuere. Now, Karoro, who was represented by Admire Rubaya, had prayed for his acquittal, arguing that the state had failed to link him to the offense. Meanwhile, Zimbabwe National Army Legal Secretary Grace Kurasha, who was accused of fraudulently acquiring a certificate to practice law in the country after bribing personnel at the Council for Legal Education, has been cleared of the allegations. Now, Kurasha, who was represented by Admire Rubaya, was jointly charged with Huggins Ludi, the council's executive secretary, on a charge of fraud. Allegations were denied when the trial opened. The state said Kurasha graduated with a Bachelor of Laws degree from the University of Lusaka in 2020 before enrolling for a mandatory bridging course at the University of Zimbabwe for foreign-trained law graduates. Now, Regional Magistrate Taurai Manuere said the state failed to prove a case against the two by failing to provide relevant documents to the court. In yet another update on crime, a Zupco driver, Tandani Mahlangu, aged 42, has been jailed after being convicted of culpable homicide by the Hwange Magistrates Court. On September 17, 2025, Mahlangu was driving a Zupco Dragon bus along the Cross-Dete Binga Road when he hit two cyclists at the 85-kilometer peg near Simeme village, killing one of them. Now, he was ordered to pay a $400 fine or face 6 months imprisonment if he defaulted, and was prohibited from driving for 24 months and had his Class 1 license cancelled. Now, the National Prosecuting Authority of Zimbabwe emphasizes that negligent driving is ending lives at an alarming rate, urging all road users to exercise extreme caution. Now for our weather update. We are joined by James Ngoma, the Chief Forecaster with the Meteorological Services Department. Good evening, James. Thank you for joining us here on News Plus. What is the weather looking like as we get into the weekend?
Thank you very much for that question. Looking at the conditions that we had generally cloudy and cold conditions over the southern parts of the country, covering Masvingo, Matabeleland South, and Manicaland. This was because of moisture that was drifting in from the southeast of the subcontinent, but those cloudy conditions still just persist for Saturday morning. As we get into the afternoon hours, we're expecting these clouds to have cleared off, giving us more of the sunny conditions. As we get into Saturday afternoon, should be warmer than of late over those southern areas covering Matabeleland, South Masvingo and Manicaland. To the northwest, we're expecting sunny conditions. It should be rather mild at first, becoming hot by afternoon. over those northern provinces covering Matabeleland North, Mashonaland West, Mashonaland East Central, as well as the northern parts of the Midlands. With that, Sunday is predicted to be mostly sunny and hot across the entire country, though mild at first and towards evening. So we urge you to keep hydrated, especially during those hot daytime conditions.
So James, what is the forecast in terms of the rain, especially looking at the 2025-2026 summer cropping season for farmers?
Thank you very much. It's going to be a very interesting season ahead. We were expecting it to start off on a slow note. So for those farmers that are going into the field, this is the time to prepare your fields. Make sure that you've got enough the fertilizer, enough the requirements that are required for you to produce the particular crop that you want to produce. We know that we're going to have very hot conditions in October with just isolated thunder showers that might be violent in a number of places. We've already seen a few hailstorms in places, strong winds as well, which have destroyed a few crops here and there, especially over Matabeleland South into parts like Bulilima and Mangwe districts, where we had a bit of hailstorms about 3 millimeters in size. So it was very small pellets of hail, but we're still expecting these freak storms to still occur over those parts of the country, as well as much of the strong winds that are projected during the month of October. But coupled with that, we're expecting more of the dry spells giving us hot daytime conditions. This should decrease the amount of rainfall that should occur over much of the country. So our rainfall should increase slightly as we get into November. We're expecting quite significant falls over the southern parts of the country. We're projecting normal to above normal rainfall over those southern areas, and we're still expecting an increase as we get into the month of December. We're expecting very significant falls across much of the country.
Thank you very much, James, for sharing the weather forecast with us. News Plus will be right back.
Didn't graduate. I guess I blew it.
You couldn't advise him anything. He would just look at you and say, so who do you think you are?
We were just like really spoiled.
And then they just give me the receipt and I'd pay.
The guy walks in one day and then he says that he wants to make a movie.
He was blowing the money.
There was just like this habit that he had where as soon as he got money, it was gone.
I just didn't have the skills or the experience.
This money, I could see it disappear so fast.
Welcome back. Thank you for staying tuned to News Plus this Friday evening. Now on to our global updates. Hundreds of spectators gathered at the recently renovated Wole Soyinka Center for Culture and the Arts to enjoy a vibrant display of music and a live performance at the National Theatre in Lagos, as President Bola Tinubu reflected on Nigeria's 65th anniversary of independence. Nigeria achieved independence from Britain on October 1, 1960.
I've enjoyed the evening. Happy 65th independence anniversary. These have broken the monotony of military marching past, parade, and everything. So,
From roaring engines to timeless design, classic cars and motorcycles. This year's concourse featured 79 classic cars and 28 motorcycles, with judges assessing authenticity, condition and attention to detail.
We've got a variety of very old bikes. Some, the oldest one is 100 years old. And we've got all the modern bikes. So we've got a good variety and good contrast here. Always a fun day out. We judge these motorbikes with various criteria. So I've got 6 judges who look at things from different aspects. And we try and be as neutral and as fair as possible so that we can declare a winner. But in our opinion, everybody's a winner because they all took the effort to build these bikes and come here.
Okay, thank you very much.
In other global updates, recognition of the Palestinian state still remains a divisive issue among European Union countries due to historical reasons. And currently, over 150 nations have declared their recognition of the Palestinian state. Among them are 15 out of the 27 EU countries.
This is probably the most difficult issue in foreign policy for the European Union. If you look at I'd say more than 90% of the global issues, the European Union countries, they are aligned, very much aligned, honestly. But this issue, for historic reasons, is very divisive. In the European Union, we are 27 countries. We share a lot of things in common. We share sovereignty, but the countries are still sovereign. And one of the issues where they are sovereign is about recognition of third states. So it's true that not all countries now in Europe recognize the Palestinian state. Most do it now.
Meanwhile, the 20-point plan for Gaza recently proposed by US President Donald Trump has been met with serious skepticism from Palestinians in the territory who believe that Washington has long lost credibility in bringing peace to the war-torn enclave. The US proposed plan combines a ceasefire for hostages deal, phased Israeli withdrawal, and international oversight on Gaza's reconstruction and governance after the end of the conflict.
بخصوص التخوف من ورقة ترامب أكيد في تخوفات كثيرة لأنه عودنا ترامب من يوم ما مسك الحكم على عدم الثبات في أي رأي شخصي له شخصيا وكان يتكلم وفي اليوم الآخر يقوم بعكس ما تكلم أو ما أعرب عنه وتحدث عنه.
The United Nations says it will not withdraw its personnel or facilities from Gaza City despite mounting dangers amid renewed Israeli military operations. The UN Secretary General's spokesman, Stefan Dujarric, affirmed that the UN staff remain on the ground and are committed to continuing their humanitarian missions.
The Israeli authorities know clearly their responsibilities to protect UN premises and UN staff. They know exactly where we work. We coordinate our movements with them, and I think almost every day we talk about the coordination, what goes right, what goes and what's not able to be coordinated. We take our security colleagues take their work in Gaza extremely seriously. We try to mitigate risk, minimize risk in an extremely risky environment, but at this point we're continuing with our presence.
Those are the global updates we had for you, but still to come in business shortly. Manufacturing sector bounces back stronger.
Welcome wherever you are, and Marmoush room to shoot. He well and truly did. It's an opportunity. What a shot to Shado! Scott's got to be careful. Bukayo Saka! But it's Salah, and that one delivers!
Never miss a play, home or away. Stream all Premier League games live on Showmax.
They call me Racer X, or in this case, Racer J. All right.
Put your seatbelt on.
where music transcends boundaries. Where rhythm and melody unite the hearts of people. Comes a show that celebrates the power of music like never before. Get ready to dive into a sonic journey that will leave you mesmerized and yearning for more. Welcome to the captivating world of Z Vibes. Vibe to it, baby.
Welcome back. Thank you for staying tuned to Friday's edition of Newplus. Now, as we keep you updated on what's happening around you, we now move on to the business updates. Intra-African trade stands at just 15%, a figure far lower than intracontinental trade in other regions. Now, approximately 23% of Africa's trade is taking place with China and India alone. But Zimbabwe's biggest bank, CBZ, says that the figure must rise dramatically to as high as 80% if the continent is to unlock its full economic potential. Our business reporter, Melissa Chatikobo, gives us more.
Africa trades more with the rest of the world than it does with itself. According to the African Export-Import Bank's African Trade Report, despite global headwinds, Africa's trade rebounded strongly in 2024. Trade between African countries grew by 12.4% to reach $220.3 billion US, reversing a 5.9% contraction in 2023. The rebound was from the tangible benefits of the African Continental Free Trade Area implementation. Despite growth, numbers are low.
The African Continental Free Trade Area. We have to be ready by 2030 for the implementation of a lot of the protocols of the free trade area. If you go back to what the Eurozone did, I think like 15, 20 years ago, they came up with a similar trading free zone.
Bankers say Zimbabwe has been investing in infrastructure, which is a key enabler of increasing trade within its region.
Which means as a continent, we do 85% of our trade with countries outside Africa. One of the reasons for that is lack of infrastructure, which is why I'm excited about the infrastructure that I shared with you going all the way to Rutenga. Once you have a railway line, once you have got a port, once you have got an airport, such as Harare International, it gives you access.
Infrastructure alone is not enough. Limited access to finance still locks many small and medium-sized enterprises out of regional markets. This means authorities have to ramp up financial instruments.
Business leaders, the bankers, stakeholders of industry and commerce to take leaps of faith and sponsor ideas for the establishment of trade flows, including new ones, critical trade enabling infrastructure, which support and integrate with your lines of business.
Banks agree that achieving this vision will take investment in AI, better infrastructure, and stronger financing for small businesses. They argue that if Africa succeeds, intra-African trade could surge from 15% to 80%, keeping wealth, jobs, innovation firmly on the continent. Reporting for ZTM Prime, I am Melissa Chatikobo in Harare.
Still on business issues, leader of the Zimbabwe African National Congress, Timothy Mncube, has urged government to prioritize the needs of citizens in the upcoming 2026 national budget and make investments in healthcare and infrastructure development in order to enhance the quality of lives for Zimbabwean citizens.
I stand before you today to urge our government to prioritize the needs of our citizens in the upcoming 2026 national budget. As the leader of ZENC, Zimbabwe African National Congress, it is our party's belief that this budget presents a critical opportunity for our government to drive economic growth, foster innovation, and improve the lives of all Zimbabweans. We call on our government to make strategic investments in critical sectors such as education, healthcare, and infrastructure development. By doing so, we we can enhance the quality of life for our citizens and create conducive environment for business to thrive. Furthermore, we urge our government to prioritize support for small and medium-sized enterprises, promote entrepreneurship, and ensure sustainable development. This will unlock the potential of our economy, create jobs, and stimulate economic growth that benefits all segments of society. Let us seize this opportunity to create a budget that is truly transformative, one that empowers our citizens, promotes inclusive growth, and ensures a sustainable future for generations to come.
The latest Zimstats manufacturing index shows Zimbabwe's factories are on the rebound. The overall index stood at 158 in the second quarter of 2025, a 15% increase compared to the same period last year, signaling a strong recovery in industry. More details in the following report.
The manufacturing sector recorded notable growth, with the volume of output rising to 158 volume manufacturing index in the second quarter of 2025, up 15% from 137 volume manufacturing index in the same period last year. Key growth drivers included foodstuffs, textiles and ginning, clothing and footwear, metals and metal products, as well as transport. Economic analyst Andrew Shingirai Magudu shares more insights.
Not all industries performed well. For example, chemicals and petroleum products fell 33%, non-metallic minerals like cement and glass declined 44%, and paper, printing, packaging dropped 14%.
However, some sectors registered weaker performance, with declines recorded in drinks and beverages, tobacco, chemicals and petroleum products, as well as paper, printing and packaging. A concern attributed to various challenges. Despite these setbacks, Zimbabwe continues to show encouraging signs of stability, driven by the country's re-industrialization efforts. Economic analyst Wizom Mutsakatira gives his perspective.
Overall, at the moment, Zimbabwe is showing good signs of stability. This has been shown given by the bank rate, and I think most companies and investors beginning to have a little bit of confidence into the country, as the country might be re-industrializing.
Zimbabwe is in a re-industrialization era, with some industries rebounding strongly, while others require targeted support. The outlook points to steady progress as policy measures continue to shape the recovery. For ZTM Prime, I'm business reporter Hannah Mapisire.
When Newplus returns, we'll give you updates on what's happening in the entertainment world.
In a world where music transcends boundaries, where rhythm and melody unite the hearts of people, comes a show that celebrates the power of music like never before. Get ready to dive into a sonic journey that will leave you mesmerized and yearning for more. Welcome to the captivating world of Z Vibes. Vibe to it, baby.
Dental checkups, experiments, games. We have it all right here on Happy Sprouts. Catch us exclusively on ZTN Prime, DSTV channel 294.
With more than 5 decades in fashion, Aine Pate Udrago, aka Pateo, has become one of West Africa's most revered designers. Known as Mandela's tailor, the Burkina Faso-born fashionista designed the late South African leader's iconic shirts and dressed numerous African leaders and celebrities, gaining global recognition.
Dans mon village, il n'y avait pas de tailleur. Tout le monde
ou à la main. Hein? Vous voyez, il y a le tisserand, nous connaissons le tisserand au village, puis tout est cousu à la main, donc il n'y avait pas, aucun de mes parents n'était couturier. Bon. Voilà, donc il n'y avait pas, ça savait pas de mes parents. Je suis arrivé à Abidjan, je n'ai aucun savoir, moi, ce qu'on appelle apprenti tailleur.
Global icon Black Coffee will next month be headlining the music movement Africa is Not a Jungle. The highly anticipated editions will take place on November 8 in Durban and November 29 in Johannesburg, promising a celebration of music, culture and community with a distinctly African voice. Now, through his namesake foundation, the DJ has also confirmed that his benefit concert will be headed to Johannesburg. Still on entertainment, Sean Diddy Combs is in court in New York, where he will be sentenced on 2 counts of transportation for prostitution. He was convicted of flying people across the U.S. for sexual encounters he called freak-offs, including his girlfriends and male sex workers. Now, the prosecution wants him to serve at least 11 years in prison, but his lawyers ask for 14 months. Combs is expected to address the judge before he is sentenced. Something for you to look forward in sport. Scotland go 4 points clear after Chicken Inn win.
They call me Racer X, or in this case, Racer J. All right.
Put your seatbelt on.
Welcome back, gospel music lovers, to another season of My Ultimate Gospel 10. Your ultimate destination for soul-stirring melodies and inspirational stories.
Might prepare me for a good day.
God is faithful because He's holy.
Like, wow, this is beautiful.
Each week, they'll be revealing their top 10 gospel songs. Meet Miss Becky K, the dynamic and passionate new presenter for Season 3.
If you are ready, let's get into My Ultimate Gospel 10.
Premiering soon, only on ZTN Prime. Stay tuned and let the music uplift your soul.
A look at your Friday sports updates. Timon Machope scored his 13th goal of the season as Scotland beat Chicken Inn 1-0 at Barberfields to go 4 points clear at the top of the PSL. Now, Scotland lead the way with 59 points, 4 more than second-placed Simbabora, who have 2 games in hand. Simba can close the gap with a win against Caps United at Wadzanai Stadium in Shamba tomorrow. Now, that match will be live on ZTN Prime and build-up starts at 14:30. Now, in other fixtures, Dynamos welcome Ngezi Platinum Stars Manika Date Triangle United. FC Platinum entertain Yada. Tal 1 square off with Kwekwe United, whilst ZPC Kariba welcome Bikita Minerals. On Sunday, Herentals host Highlanders at Rufaro in what will be the 2 sides' 3rd game this season after meeting in the Chibuku Super Cup where Boso knocked the students out. And ahead of the encounter, Herentals head coach Paul Benza says he will use the remaining fixtures to give some of his players a chance to prove themselves.
For us, we're now enjoying games because we're now safe from relegation. And it's time for me to give everyone time to play, especially those who are not getting enough game time. It's now their time also to try and also showcase their talent, because I believe that everyone is the talent, but it's only that we were not able to change
the team week in, week out. So this is the time that we're able to change the team and have the players enjoy football. So we're not under any pressure against Islanders, but what we need is to collect the 3 points because we really need the points.
Now, Benza called on his charges to give their all as they will be playing at home and avoid losing a second consecutive game against Highlanders after their Chibuku Super Cup exit at the hands of the same opponent.
My message to them is that first we're supposed to try and avoid the defeat, especially at home. And if we get the 3 points, then it will be a bonus. But firstly, we are supposed to make sure that we avoid the defeat at all costs. We lost to Islanders again in the Chibuku Cup, so we're not supposed to lose the second game in a row against one team. My target is to try and finish in the top 4. So if it means that we're supposed to get the 15 points to be able to finish in the top 4, then we're supposed to go for the 15 points. But we are not under this so much pressure to finish in the top 4. But that is the target that I had set in the beginning of the season, and hopefully we're going to achieve that target.
Dynamo's head coach Kelvin Kayindu has been voted as the coach of the month of September after guiding his side to win against crosstown rivals Caps United, as well as a draw against fellow relegation-threatened Triangle United. Now, Kayindu, who was the August coach of the month, has guided the side to 5 wins in their last 6 games, collecting 16 out of 18 points, equaling the total amount of points as his predecessors Lloyd Chigowe and Saul Chaminuka, who managed 16 out of 69 points in their 23 games in charge. Tel One forward Washington Navaya has been voted as the player of the month following his heroics in front of goal. Navaya currently has 15 goals to his name and is 2 goals shy of equaling last season's Golden Boot winning 17. Now on to athletics. The National Athletics Association of Zimbabwe has set its sights on increasing the number of athletes who represent the country on the global stage. The association believes that with more runners, the nation could attain success on the big stages and is working on coming up with vibrant junior development pathways.
I'm happy as an association that we have improved the number, and we had targeted that we want to have more track athletes. Remember in the last edition of the World Championships, I mentioned that we must focus on that one again. The major thing that we did was to focus on the junior development. If you can see now, we are sending more than 8 athletes to the World Junior. That's the first foundation to make sure that those athletes qualify. The athletes that have qualified for the World Junior Championship have all gone on to qualify for the World Championships. So it's a gradual process that they must qualify for the World Junior Championship to bring confidence in them to qualify for the Senior Championship. So that was, we have created a bigger base at the junior level, so that the stronger the base for the junior development, the better it is for them to qualify.
NAS President Tendai Togara believes the Zimbabwean coaches in the United States of America have played a huge role in nurturing talent as a number of athletes applying their trade beyond the country's borders.
More athletes have managed to get a scholarship to train and start in the United States of America, which is our major base in terms of our athletes, in terms of development in this country. It's every athlete's dream to be in America, and if you see that way, a number of athletes have qualified, they've gone on there. If you look again with about 2 athletes who ran 10.01, 10.02, those athletes were supposed to be in the team. Unfortunately, they could not accumulate enough points. So that is a good indication that our juniors, from the junior level, first year at the university, they are hitting the times that are needed for the World Champs. If you look at it, most of our athletes that have gone on to study in America have taken up the coaching professionals. We have Ken Anden, we have Vumvure, Gabriel. We also have athletes that are joining the bigger picture of coaching. Brian there is the manager of most of those athletes in terms of performance. That has helped our athletes in terms of getting scholarship because of the Zimbabwean coaches who are in the universities. That was one of our advantages. So then what we've done is in the federation is 99% of our top sprinters in America. Therefore, it is prudent that we then use our own coaches who are Zimbabweans, who are based in America, to take heed and the call for the national team to assist us to prepare for our athletes.
And that's a wrap on News Plus this Friday evening. Thank you very much for tuning in. Do have a pleasant weekend. My name is Wadzanai Sansole. Good night from myself and the crew behind the scenes.